Have you ever argued so hard for your position that it cost you your peace of mind? That's a really good question. Have you ever argued so hard for your position that it cost you your peace of mind and made you feel more alone, divided, not as connected? Opinions are everywhere these days, right? Strong opinions are everywhere these days. On social media, political divides, even at the dinner table. Strong opinions feel good and powerful, yet I think they divide us. They cause separation. Now, psychologists tell us there's something called binary thinking or black and white mindset, right? Right or wrong, us or them. And it creates this zero-sum game. For me to be right, someone must be wrong. For me to win, you must lose. And this creates division. And I wanted to bring forth the idea that in psychology and in neuroscience, there's something called the Human Genome Project. And they find that despite race, creed, or ethnicity, 99% of our DNA is the same as everybody else's. We're so similar. So there's only 1/10 of 1% where our opinions and our beliefs and our strong positions show the difference there. In this binary thinking, in this zero-sum game, we lose, and we lose track of how whole we are as a unit, as a wholeness. And it feels good, like I said, to have strong opinions, yet it often causes us more isolation, loss of peace of mind. I used to have this dog. His name was Gaylord. He was a great dog. I noticed when he got the scent of a rabbit or a squirrel, his brain was hijacked. His emotional regulation was like totally lost because I would wave at him. I would call him, "Hey, Gaylord, come here, come here." And he was so intent on getting this rabbit or this squirrel that he tuned everything else out. His instincts kicked in. It tuned out my voice. It tuned out my calling, my waving. He couldn't hear. So I think humans are like that. When we feel the threat or the instinct of survival, our opinions become stronger. And our biology takes over because we have something called the emotional brain, the limbic brain. And I like to call it the barking dog. And it's the amygdala, right at the middle of the brain. And it is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. It's our survival instincts that take place there. And the funny thing is about the limbic brain, when it's active, it turns off the prefrontal cortex. I like to call it the wise old owl, where we do rational or executive thinking at the front of the brain, and it turns that off. When we form strong opinions and we identify with those opinions through recursive, repetitive inputs, either through social media or people we follow or the news, how many times we watch the same piece of news over and over again, it creates these grooves in the emotional brain, in the barking dog, in the fight, flight, or freeze section of the brain. And it turns off our rational thinking mind. And in mindfulness and meditation practice, the prefrontal cortex grows and it becomes stronger. In fact, it turns off the limbic system in the brain. Our emotional brain, our limbic brain, becomes hijacked through the news, through social media, through repetition. I remember in the old days when there was a tragedy, we might see it on the news and we might see it once or twice, right? But now we get this repetitive drilling, repeating, hitting on us constantly through our feeds and through news. And that affects our belief systems because it's the actual definition of belief. What is a belief? It's a repeated thought form, and it comes at us and at us and at us, and it engenders a belief. We believe it's true, right? That's the funny thing is, sometimes a lie repeated often enough turns into a belief. I really like Einstein's quote here. A human being is part of the whole we call the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. I think that quote is so apt here for this talk. I think, our task is to develop a circle of compassion for all beings, for the whole, is kind of like the leaves on a tree. They appear separate, yet they're part of the whole tree, part of the whole organism. And sometimes I view humanity in that regard, almost like a diamond. All 8 billion units of pure consciousness are facets of the diamond, and they all have a different point of view, and that different point of view is a different angle on the approach of our reality, of our experience. Yet, that whole view needs to have its own perspective, consciousness reflecting through itself, by itself, to itself, and it gives the whole diamond the ability to shine. And if we didn't have these different perspectives, the diamond would appear dull. We can see, when we're in deep meditation, thoughts rising and falling, and we see they're not real. They're just opinions and beliefs in the field of awareness, is what we really are, the field of awareness. So a practice we can do throughout the week in order to reduce the fetter or the chains or the shackles, like the Buddha said, strong views are like fetters. Strong opinions are like fetters or chains or shackles to our freedom, to our liberation. When we're experiencing strong views or positions or opinions, we can ask ourselves, does this opinion connect me or divide me? It's a really good thought. You can also ask, does it make me feel more open or does it make me feel closed? In meditation, being open is the real deal. We want to be more open. We want to take in as much of consciousness as we can. That awakening to the infinite, limitless ocean of greatly illumined awareness, awakened awareness, is love. We want to be more open to love and compassion, to widen the circle of compassion for all beings. That's what meditation does for us. It helps us loosen the grip of opinions and strong views from a zero-sum game to one of holistic opening, to one of union, to one of unity. I mean, they're doing research all the time now with psychedelics, right? And in psychedelics, even microdosing psychedelics, they say that when you do, you have more of an open, unified consciousness. You experience unity. And they have shown that microdosing psychedelics can also aid in smoking cessation. Because when you're under the influence of it, something in the brain happens where you have this unified consciousness and you go, oh, how could I smoke? How could I affect the whole being, my whole body with cigarettes? And you begin to see the unity. And after that, one microdose, and then all of a sudden you're free of wanting to smoke. And that also has effects with the problem of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You see your issue and the remembrance of the stress, and you realize, well, that's just part of the whole. It wasn't all that serious after all. I'm not minimizing the seriousness of the stress, but I'm saying you view it more in a holistic fashion. That's what meditation does for us too. It loosens the barking dog in the limbic system, the emotional brain, and it reduces the fear, the threat, the tribal politics that live there, the strong opinions that live there, and you bring forth the awareness of the prefrontal cortex, the rational executive function of the brain, by practicing mindfulness training, and you bring in the wise old owl. You bring in wisdom, the wisdom of unity, the wisdom of wholeness, and you reduce the illusion of separateness. The separateness of each leaf on the tree, of each wave on the ocean. And suddenly you're flowing with the ocean, and you're more at peace with yourself and others. That's the key there. Peace with yourself and others. If you've enjoyed this talk, why not hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more on meditation, mindfulness, and personal growth.